Hello, beautiful star seeds. Welcome back. Today is a special day. I have a special guest here with me, and his name is Landon. Today, we're going to be talking about tips on beginning your spiritual journey. First off, why did you start your channel?
So I started my channel basically because when I had my spiritual awakening, there's so many people that I saw that needed, just experience and needed to learn from someone, and especially me. Like I was looking for the experience and I was looking to learn from others and just to kind of get, perspectives from other people. And I have come so far in my spiritual journey now that I feel like I've been guided to do this. It's more than just, even really wanting to help people. It actually helps me because I'm able to learn from so many other people, and just getting to meet people that have the same viewpoints is a really beautiful thing to me. So starting my channel, is not only helping me become more part of this amazing community of people that have the same viewpoints, but also just gives me satisfaction to know that I can potentially say something that will help someone else. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful thing. I'm really lucky to even be here making this channel, because I also feel like I had many different types of spiritual awakenings my whole life, and different levels of becoming more aware and more aware, and more aware of my emotions. I think that was the biggest key for me, was becoming aware of how I'm feeling and what was coming into my life. And this is even before, because for a long time I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God, or anything like that. And I just thought that when I died, that it was just gonna be black, and that was it, for a long time. And it wasn't until I started really paying attention to how I was feeling and what was coming into my life, that I started having things kind of change. I noticed that when I felt good, that I had good things coming to me, but I still wasn't exactly aware of who I was until December of 2019. So pretty recently, where I had not even a rude awakening, but just this super intense spiritual awakening that, just like you, totally crumbled everything I ever knew to believe was true. And it wasn't easy at first. At first, my whole life was upside down. I started realizing the types of people that I had manifested into my life. I started realizing the way that I was, and different aspects of myself and my shadow that had the reins on the show. They were basically just full blown in control, and where my higher self and the real me wasn't actually even there. So integrating that has been a really amazing experience, and allowed me to see life from such a new perspective. And being aware and spiritual awakening is so much more than just a journey of a lot of people think that being woke or whatever is all conspiracy theories. And by the way, everyone, we all know what a conspiracy theory is. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what people think. But then they forget that this is a journey of the self, and understanding your emotions and who you are, and becoming aware of deep down that we are all one and it is all the same. So, it's really an amazing time to be alive. But yeah, to answer your question simply, yeah, December 2019 is basically when I fully started becoming aware of who I was. And officially, I'd say that was the official month that I had my spiritual awakening.
As far as being an empath, do you consider yourself one?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I feel like being an empath and just emotions in general, I feel like that's a huge part of why we're here and what we're doing in this physical reality. For a lot of empaths out there, I recommend number one, if you're an empath, then most likely you might be a little bit introverted because you're feeling so much of that energy all the time. But I recommend, if you are an empath and you are going something where you're feeling all of this tense energy around you, or just a lot of energy in general, maybe you just had a spiritual awakening and are just becoming more aware of your emotions, you should definitely try to step outside of your ego, because that's actually what's feeling super attacked when you're empathic in general is that your ego is actually feeling all these different emotions and not knowing how to understand it. But if you can just step outside of your own ego and look at it from a neutral perspective and like an understanding, then you won't have to deal with like the same level of emotions that you're dealing with now. So yeah, I definitely consider myself an empath, and I've been an empath my whole life. I think that's one thing is that my dad passed away when I was 15, and after that I was like totally disconnected from my emotions until I was about like 19 or 20. And when I started reconnecting with my emotions and seeing the huge changes that were coming into my life, that's when I became aware of my emotions in general, and became aware that I was an empath. But yeah, I'm for sure an empath.
That's actually a really good input that you gave as far as, being an empath and just kind of, sometimes feeling uncomfortable or being introverted. It's all about stepping into that neutral zone and not allowing other people's energy to affect you, and just realize that we are all one. And by us feeling triggered by other people's energy, sometimes it's just a mirror, sometimes it just be something to look back within oneself. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. Doing the same things as you, meditating. I really like to spend time in water. So as frequently as I can get into water, I try to get into water almost every other day.
Yeah.
And also grounding too, just walking barefoot, like especially when I'm going on hikes or when I'm going on just like a little nature walk. I want to make sure that my feet are like in the ground and just like feeling the earth, and just feeling more connected to everything. Because when you realize that you're literally one with everything, it's so comforting to like have your feet like on this other part of you, and just like having that understanding. It just in general doing it, you don't even have to understand it, but just even doing it, is a super relaxing thing. Because on a subconscious level, I really believe that that you already know. And so like just by like going out and just like walking barefoot on the grass and stuff, it's like really good for your health, and your mental health too. But another way is, I'd say eating healthy. Having the right diet is extremely important, because a lot of the thoughts that I was having before I became vegan were basically, they weren't correlating with the thoughts that I'm having now. The minute I changed my diet, the level of thinking and the level of clarity that I stepped into while I was practicing grounding and meditating was completely different. It was a whole new experience for me. So yeah, having a new diet like really changed my perspective on like, bringing together the mind, body, spirit. And then also like plant-based medicine, which a lot of people I'm sure know about, like DMT or like mushrooms. Like, not advocating anyone to do anything like that. That's just what had worked for me at the beginning of my actual awakening in December. That really brought me into these like new levels of awareness. So yeah, I think that it's extremely helpful. If I could open a clinic, seriously, if I could open a clinic for people that are depressed and anxious and say, look, we just need to like get them in here and like take some of this and just listen to me, and like I will help you like understand like some of like your problems, or like, and even just anybody will help them understand. It doesn't need to be me.
Yeah.
Even though it's still like low key, like will still be me, but but
The shaman,
yeah, exactly.
Shaman.
Yeah, and right, like in the shaman in me, I'm telling you, like in a past life, like I feel like I was everything in a past life. Like the road doesn't stop. It's just like, nope, just this one Landon here. It's like, no, we go far back. Like,
Oh yeah.
what do you want to know? I'm Egyptian, shamanic, like basically everything. Alien. I feel like all my music that I make is like super like alien vibey, like like other planet stuff. So like, yeah, it's cool though. But not to go off topic, but yeah.
No, I think that's really cool, and I think those are all really, really good examples of how to connect your mind, your body, and your spirit. When did you become aware of your intuition?
Yeah, I'd say becoming aware of my intuition. I think that like I always like kind of had a nudge of like I always had that feeling of basically like, this is like what's right here. Like I just knew, like I had that knowing feeling of like, this is happening right now. And for a long time, I really thought that it was me just being crazy. And I thought that like it was like my mind trying to play tricks on me and like all these different things. But then once I had my spiritual awakening, I started realizing that, hey, actually, this is my intuition. Like this is the part of me that's been trying to like tell me like, beware of this or do this or you know, trying to guide me in the right direction. And as I started like really practicing like awareness and spirituality, like I started meditating a lot and becoming aware of intuitive hits that I would get throughout my body. And so when I have certain thoughts that are intuitive, I'll notice my body will just have these like twitches or just like weird like body movements like out of nowhere. And that's how I know that that was like a really good thought. Or even if I'm watching a video or something like that, and you know how when you just are trying to like see what resonates with you when you're just watching pretty much anything, my body will start like reacting to some of the things that people are saying. So I have a really good intuition now where I can tell like when someone's being real with me, when someone's being fake, when someone's like giving out false information. And I call myself sometimes, like I hate to say this because it's like cocky and I don't know everything, but I'm like the knower basically. Like I just know sometimes, you know, and I don't know everything, you know, obviously I feel like it's impossible to know everything, and it's an infinite universe out there that never ends. And, you know, it's impossible to know everything, but, in this like physical form anyway. Right.
Yeah.
But,
the inner knowing.
Yeah. But that inner knowing like definitely still exists.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And,
it's pretty cool.
I'm happy that you have those kind of experiences, and not only that you have them, but that you're open to them, because it's kind of like what you said. A lot of times we get really scared, or we feel like our higher self or our intuition or spirit is trying to like play tricks on us. But it's kind of like what Bashar said. There's this talk that he had on YouTube that I was watching the other day, and it was just so funny because it kind of clicked. He mentioned that your higher self will never lead you astray. Your higher self will never play tricks on you. You know, your higher self isn't saying like, hey, let's go play tricks on my lower self. Let's look at my lower self just sink at the bottom of the pond. No, because your higher self will sink with you. If anything, your higher self is trying to tell you like, hey, let's go this way. You know,
to an extent, you know, society almost makes it out like your intuition and higher self are not always out for you. So like the way that we're just even brought up in society, like they teach you to like just follow the narrative and like ignore your gut feeling, you know?
Exactly.
So like you might have a gut feeling and then immediately be called a conspiracy theorist for having a different opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like your higher self is not gonna just be like, yeah, let's play a trick on this guy over here, the lower self. Get over here, lower self.
Have you had any like synchronistic experiences throughout your spiritual journey?
I'd say for sure numbers. I see 22, 11, 11, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, like pretty much every numbers synchronicity that you could think of. Even, you know, 4, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9.
Yeah.
But one really interesting one was when I decided that I wanted the universe to show me a red Jeep every time that I was having a good thought. And so let me tell you that since that happened, I see more red Jeeps in my reality than I ever have basically ever. Like I feel like all they drive up here is red Jeeps. Like, I don't know what's going on. There's like a whole car dealership that just sells red Jeeps now. Ever since I had that thought, you know, they don't, and no other color, has to be red. But that's one. And then I'd say, you know, even just from like seeing certain like street names, you know, with my last job that I would be driving all over New Hampshire and Vermont, and I would see like street names with my last name, like Perkins. I would see just so many different things where the universe is just trying to tell me like I'm going in the right direction, or I'm like doing the right thing, or even in your case where they were telling you to shift, you know, and shift your perspective and shift, you know, back into that higher vibe state so you can kind of feel a little bit better about your situation. So Yeah, synchronicities have never stopped since my awakening. And when I first started having an awakening, I wasn't familiar with synchronicities at all. But as I started doing more research and figuring out, just spirituality in general and what a synchronicity was, that's when I started becoming aware of some of these messages that my higher self or my spirit guides would be sending me throughout the day. And they can really help you, not only finding your purpose or, letting you know that you're guided in the right direction, but in so many different ways, basically in whatever way that you believe it to, so it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And I commend you, for being open to those experiences. And wow, I have to say wow on the red Jeep part.
Yeah.
It's something you manifested, so that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, when you think of a synchronicity in the first place, like if you start like realizing, like at the beginning of my spiritual journey, I started becoming aware of like 44 and its meaning. And then as soon as I became aware of it, it just started like coming into my reality more and more. So I really feel like awareness is key with synchronicity. And again, like the belief behind what you give it, so like if someone goes on the internet and reads that 44 means this, like that's immediately what they're probably going to interpret it as. And then every time that they start seeing that number, that's what they're going to think, or they're going to start thinking that, it's a sign in the right direction. But, it's all for the greater good. The belief system and manifesting and synchronicities all just kind of go hand in hand. But like I had a premonitory dream just the other day where my dog actually had pooped on the floor. And then I woke up the next day and there you go, like Rocky had pooped on the floor. And, that's just one example. But I think even a lot of dreams that I've had, I feel like I always go to this school. And this school that I go to, I've started identifying as the Akashic Records, honestly, because every time that I go there, it's like a high school and, I see all of these different types of beings and I learn all these lessons, and then, I wake up in the morning and I experience like a lot of different synchronicities throughout the day that were similar to my dream. So, things like that, it's pretty interesting.
It is. It's really interesting. And that's so funny. The one that you had about your dog. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was crazy. Just waking up. When I saw that, I wasn't even mad about it. Like, and I wouldn't be mad about it anyway, because, he had an accident or whatever. But I just like looked down like in shock. I couldn't believe that he had pooped on the ground. I just dreamed about it. It just blew my socks off.
I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing such great value. And where can viewers find you?
So on Instagram, you can find me at Landon_Perkins 1111. And then YouTube, it's just Landon Perkins, and just type it in the search bar. You should be able to find me there.
And if any of you viewers are driving a red Jeep and you guys see him, make sure you honk your horn and be like, "Hey, Landon."
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you guys see any red Jeeps. That'll be crazy.
Probably. All right, Landon. Well, thank you so much for being a guest today. It was so wonderful to have you here. And to all you viewers out there, just make sure that you go ahead and go to his channel and subscribe. He has great content. If you enjoyed his energy today, I promise you, if you want to get more of that, better go to his channel. All right. See you guys next time. Bye.
Sure.